Hey guys, welcome back to Fixee TV. I'm your host Anton, and today's video is going to be a bit different. I know we say that every video, but this video is really going to be different because it's going to be more of a vlog style, not really scripted. So in today's video, we're going to be doing an Ask Me Anything or an AMA. So what we did was we reached out to people on Instagram, Discord, and all our other friends that had any tech questions. So we'll try to be answering some of them here in this video. So bear with me as I try to do this off the top of my head and not mess up. So yeah, if you're new to the channel, you might not know that Fixee.ph is a business that runs this channel, Fixee TV. Our business is basically fixing computers and game consoles. So anyway, the questions we're going to be answering in this video are questions that we get all the time when we do our business. If you're subscribed to our YouTube channel and aren't following our social media pages or are on our Discord server, links are down below, so feel free to join and ask us anything. We just want to share what we know, and if you have something interesting to share with us, please do so. We're happy to hear it. Now let's get to the questions. The first question is Intel versus AMD. We get asked this question a lot, especially with people wanting to build their new gaming computers. But the short answer is Intel is better for gaming and AMD is better for multi-threaded workloads like video editing and 3D rendering. What that means is if you want to have a better gaming experience, basically just the most FPS that you can, you're not streaming or anything, you go for Intel. But if you want a system that can actually do other tasks like video editing and streaming, you'd lean towards AMD. But it really depends on what's available in stock as well, because some people opt to go for Intel because their drivers are more stable, they have better support because they've been around longer with the generations. So it really just depends on your use case. I think that's the most important thing. Okay, I hope I answered that properly. Next question. So what is hyperthreading and why is it important? Okay, let's say you have one core, you split that into two so you're able to work efficiently by doing two tasks at the same time. That's why you often see in hyper-threaded CPUs, let's say it has 8 cores. It usually has doubled threads, so 16 threads. So what hyper-threading does, it allows you to do multi-threaded workloads more efficiently because your CPU or one core is operating at the same speed but doing two tasks at once. There's no actual benefit in single-threaded workloads. So some games don't really benefit from having hyper-threading, but if you're doing tasks like video editing, streaming, something that requires stuff being rendered at one point, it's useful to have a hyper-threaded CPU. But if it's for pure gaming, only some games really utilize this. Oh, also, usually if you have a hyper-threaded CPU, like let's say your Xeons and your Threadrippers, the ones that people use for video production, they're not that great when you use them for gaming because you have some sort of diminishing returns when you have more cores at running at a certain speed. We'll try to talk about the topic in our PCs for Newbies episode 3 maybe, or episode 4, where we really discuss each part individually. So we'll start with the CPUs and we'll really explain this topic of hyperthreading and what CPU is best for you. But again, short answer, hyperthreading is one core doing two tasks at once. Doesn't really benefit if you are just purely gaming, but it really helps when you are video editing or rendering something for production or engineering. All right, next question is, what are some good PC care practices? We get this question a lot because we do PC cleaning for your laptops and desktop computers. But generally speaking, you'd want to clean your PC every year because dust builds up a lot. And especially if you're a busy person, you don't have the time. But you want to make an effort to at least clean it once a year. Have the thermal paste changed once a year because you're not sure if what you're doing is drying up the CPU, the thermal paste, or the dust is building up to a point where the fans can't spin anymore, or it just gets too hot inside your PC case. To avoid dust from happening, sad to say, if you have a pet at home, please don't let it near your computer because pet hair gets everywhere. Personally, my PC broke because I have a dog. I love my dog to bits, but I had to move my PC away from where I keep my dog because it just blew up our power supply one time. There's so much hair caught up in the filter, some of it went through, and then next thing I knew, it flipped the switch and just started smoking. Anyway, so pets aren't good to have near your desktop computers. For laptops, try not to clog the air vents. So if you put it on a table or a hard surface, that's fine. But putting it on a bed for a long period of time is not advisable because you're blocking the vents. Another good care practice is to make sure that your hard drives are not filled to the max. You'd like to have at least about 20% space left in your hard drive, so you only have 80% filled up. That lets your hard drive kind of rest and not let it work too hard looking for all the files in a huge amount of space. Also, if you can, have your operating system drive reformatted I'd say every year, because it just helps keep your PC clean and gets out all of the junk, cookies and all the whatnot. That's about it. I mean, all that I can think of off the top of my head. But if you have any other good PC care suggestions, leave them in the comments down below. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe, because we do weekly tech videos. Hopefully not as bad as this one, but we're here, and yeah. Okay, this question kind of relates to the last question of how to manage thermals, especially on really high-powered laptops. Okay, I only have one answer for that. All jokes aside, like we mentioned earlier in the video, or in the last question, placing it on a elevated surface so the vents have room to get air and exhaust air as well. If you have a big, beefy gaming laptop, because for all you know, you've been on the go, but now you're stuck inside, you might want to invest in a good laptop cooler so that that adds additional airflow into your laptop. Other than that, I'd just recommend that you keep the vents open and make sure that you're not pushing it too hard. Basically, just get it cleaned regularly by a professional. If you know how to clean the laptop yourself, try doing it. Just like use some compressed air on the fans. Try to get all the dust out, because dust buildup is inevitable, especially in the Philippines where it's really dusty. So yeah, to sum it up, buy a laptop cooling pad and make sure you don't game or do heavy workloads on a surface that clogs the ports, like on the bed. Next question. What should you do when you spill gravy on your laptop? Basically, the first thing you should do is unplug the charger and let it be. Try to examine, okay, if it's off, that's good. Just unplug the charger, you're fine. You just need to see where it's spilled. Because what stuff like gravies or water does is it shorts the logic boards or motherboards of the laptops. What that means is if it shorts, electricity goes to a place where it shouldn't, and it could break some components. I really recommend you take it to a professional who can do and check these things so they can advise you properly. But soaking it, if it's just water, soaking it in rice does help. So yeah, my advice for that is take it to a professional service center, or if you have warranty for the thing, try to avail of it if it's valid for liquid spills. But yeah. Right, we got a question. Would a gravy cooler tower be viable? That's actually a good video idea. We might actually do that. Gravy cooled PC tower. I don't think it's possible because it's too thick for a pump to work with, but if you have a fan and like gravy as thermal paste, maybe that might work. Why are they always changing USBs? My guess is the reason they change USB so often is to cater to previous generation hardware. So that's why they made USB Type-C. So it's compatible with, let's say, an Android of 2 years ago with an Android today. At least you have that sort of connector that allows you to only buy 2 good quality connectors, and you don't need to keep buying new USB Type-A plugs or anything. Imagine if all your devices are just USB Type-C, you can have one charger station somewhere, and just it makes things easier. I think that's the reason for it. Oh, and apparently it has something to do with data transfer, I think, where USB Type-A can only send data in one direction. That's why you usually can't power monitors or any other devices that utilize dual direction, like monitors, all of that stuff. So yeah, I hope that answers your question, sir. Right, okay, next question. how long did it take for you to understand PC building? And in addition to that, what parts require most studying or knowledge about? And then another follow-up question related to that, how much studying would you need to do before you say it's safe to build your own PC? Okay, well, we have some staff here on Fixee TV, so I'll speak on my behalf and then I'll try to get their answers and put it in the video. But personally, I think I just learned because I wanted to play games. Like most of us out there that want to get into the space, you want to build a computer because you want to play games or you want to just tinker with it. So I started when I was a sophomore in high school. I really wanted to play games with my friends, so I decided to learn more about it. I kind of felt left out because I was the only one that didn't have a good computer that could play Team Fortress 2 or Dota 2. But I mean, here we are. I've been building PCs for close to 8 years, 9 years, I guess, give or take, I think. No, probably, yeah, 8 years. About 8 years. And I love it. It's a great hobby, great pastime. And I mean, you make mistakes at first, like you really do, where you just don't know you're not sure if what you built is right, you're not sure if the budget you set is proper, but eventually you just get the hang of it. You just end up building and seeing if it works. Like, no build is perfect. It all depends on what you need. Well, in my case, my first build was an i5 build with a old AMD card. That was the R9 270X. Yeah, at the time. So I really used the heck out of that computer. I only had 8 gigs of RAM. And you learn over time. Like, you see the mistakes that you make with your first build and you're like, okay, I don't want to repeat those, so you really just keep doing it. It gets kind of addicting where you just want to upgrade this or upgrade that, you know. It becomes easier down the line. So how long did it take for me to understand how to understand PC building? Well, I watched a lot of Linus Tech Tips back in the day, so I still do. So I guess I would binge everything that he'd post and you'd really see the build logs, all of that. It's kind of an inspiration of mine, or like everyone here on the channel wanted to build something similar to what he's built. I mean, inspire the next generation like how he inspired us. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't just overnight where I learned, okay, this is how it works. But if you're talking about like build time, probably took like about an hour to learn how to do it, watch a video, follow the instructional video. Fixee is gonna be doing one soon, so stay tuned for that. Yeah. Okay, so how much studying would you say? How much studying do you need? I'd say just watch about as many build guides as you can so you're comfortable, and try to look for build guides that are using the parts that you have in your system. So at least you don't get confused. Some people get really confused and they just get discouraged. Also, ask for help. I mean, Fixee is one message away, so if you have any questions regarding PC builds, you can just ask us. We'll be happy to answer and spread the love in this community. But if you really want to do it yourself, just try your best and watch all these build guides. They're super detailed, they're super helpful. That's how we learned, and you might learn the same way as we did. And follow all the precautions they have because they are important, and some people are like, oh, you don't need anti-static bands. Sometimes you don't, but when you're starting out, you're kind of scared. So better take precautions than regretting it later on. Okay, so the last question is, what parts require the most studying or knowledge about? I'd say if you really want to get in depth in all the PC hardware, it would be the CPU and the GPU, because these things have a lot of iterations and they have a lot of products in the market. I would say motherboards as well, but motherboards are mostly feature based, so you can just decide, oh, these are the features I do need, everything else is just candy to it. And the most things you have to study are compatibility, making sure that your parts are compatible with each other, which is fairly easy with online tools like PC Part Picker. A lot of websites have their own PC building tools, so you can use those. That helps with checking if parts are compatible, but it's mostly just checking the socket type, because most of these days new RAM is compatible with almost all CPUs and motherboards out there. Almost all GPUs are compatible with all motherboards and CPUs out there. So it's really just the pairing of the motherboard and the CPU. But yeah, good tools to learn are like PC Part Picker. You can plan out your builds there. I personally use that to plan out my builds even if I'm not from the United States, but it helps just to keep things organized. So yeah, that's the last question. This video took longer to film than expected. I hope you guys like the video. If you like these kinds of videos where we're off the top of our heads, you know, we're not really doing anything scripted, let us know. We'll try to do more content like this, more raw vlogs, more in-depth sort of thing of me talking in front of the camera. It's actually really hard. It's really hard, but I hope you guys like it, and we'll see. If you have any questions that you want to ask us, leave them in the comments down below. They really help the channel grow so much, so we really appreciate it if you leave a comment and like on the video. We'll be releasing more of our scripted and well thought out content next week, but for this week we wanted to chill, you know, slow it down a bit because we've been doing a lot of research-based pieces and we didn't want to overwork our staff. But yeah, we hope you enjoyed this video, and please subscribe if you like the content we're releasing weekly. We'll catch you in the next one, next vlog kind of awkwardness. See ya.